right. Hello and happy Monday morning to everybody. We are here with Whitney Kobrin, one of the members of the Leap community, and we are talking about love today. So many of you are like, yeah, I have love in my life, but do you really have enough love in your life? And Whitney is here to answer the burning questions for us. Do you really have the type of love in your life that is excelling you through life, that is there to support you? Or are you looking for someone to be matched up with for the love of your life? So Whitney, welcome to the Member Monday Spotlight this morning.
Hi, Colleen. Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
All right. So tell us why love, Whitney. I want to know why love. Why is love such an important topic for all of us as human beings?
Oh, well, I definitely have a story with this. I struggled in love and relationships throughout my 20s, finally got better in my 30s, and now at 40, I just want to be able to share the wisdom that I've learned throughout my life. And I feel like it's an area where everyone is always improving. There's always room for improvement. It's sort of like brushing your teeth. You did it yesterday, but you've got to do it again today. And that applies to both loving yourself and loving the other people around you.
Yeah, I love that. I really thought in my life up until the age of 36 that I had the love in my life that I needed, the supportive love in my life, what fueled me. But I realized that there was so much I needed to work on myself, which was loving myself first. And I realized that my relationships broke down earlier when I was younger because I was so interested in pleasing the other person and trying to change them, or, being something that they wanted me to be, and not really focusing on me and loving myself. And I remember when I turned 36, Whitney, and had decided I'm going to be me, authentically me. I'm going to be the mom I want to be, the employee I want to be, have the career I want to have. I'm just going to do me. I'm going to do life the way I want to do it. My fitness, my health, my everything. I wanted to go see movies I wanted to see. And when I made that shift in my mind to love myself first, everything in my life changed. I started attracting the right people in my life that I needed because of where I was vibrating. So talk to us about how important it is to love ourselves, love the life that we're in. Why is that so important?
Oh my gosh, it's everything. Everything you just said, I love so much. And I find that I'm a recovering people pleaser. Most of the women that I work with, a lot of them have been in that people pleasing. And it's hard to realize when you're in it, because what you think is, I'm just a nice person and people like me. But when you start to notice that you're suffering because of it, that you're putting other people's needs above your own, that you're putting other people's feelings as more important than your own. I mean,
Right.
who else is going to care for you more than yourself?
Yeah,
It's not
that's right.
selfish. We have to. And I worked as a matchmaker for a few years, and I have couples that are married. I matched myself during that time, and I love
Awesome.
that.
What was that like going through that process? Tell us. What was that like being a matchmaker and bringing people together that are looking for similarities in love?
It was really interesting because everybody's situation and story was a little bit different. Or there were at least like buckets or types that I found. So some people, they just are busy and they just don't get out enough and they just really need to meet someone. And those were the easy clients. I could just set them up on dates and all of a sudden they'd say, oh, wow, I really hit it off with so and so. And then it just progressed and evolved. But I had some clients, I could set them up on date after date after date, and it was the same story, and they couldn't make love work. And that's what I got really curious about, was what's going on under the surface. I had a background in education, in psychology, so I was always really interested in that. And that's how my current business was born. Was I was working as a matchmaker. I was hearing all the stories. One of my favorites that I heard all the time was after a date, the guy would come back to me, and he was probably in his 50s, and he would say, it was fine, but she's just a little too old for me. And then the woman would come back and say, it was fine, but he's just a little too old for me. And I heard this all the time because I had a lot of clients that were like 50s, even 60s, even 70s.
Yeah.
And I was like, guys, can we all just agree that we're all older than we used to be? Like, we all look good for our age. We're all, but like, I mean, at some
I get
point,
it.
we have
I
to
get
realize
it.
that.
My gosh, when I met my husband, he was 10 years older than me, and I had never dated anyone 10 years older than me at that age. Now, mind you, my first husband was 7 years older than me, but I was really young. So, a lot happens when you hit like 50s, 60s, for late 40s, and you start getting wrinkles and those types of things. And I'm not trying to be mean by it by any means. My husband and I have had this conversation, but I thought to myself, he's much older than I am. I'm 36, he's 46, right? Is this someone that I want to date? And I realized how magnetic we were and how we just fit so easily. And I think, isn't that part of love that we need to be searching for? Like, not making it fit or forcing it to fit, but just allowing it into our lives for it to, be something that creates us to be the better version of ourselves. I tell my husband, you make me a better person. And that is what I was looking for in a partnership, not someone that fit all the boxes, but someone that made me a better person. And so, what are some of the examples, Whitney, that you can give us of some things that people can look for today in their lives to see if they really have maybe question themselves and pose some questions? Do they really have the love that they deserve or need right now?
So, wow, what a great question. Do they have the love that they deserve and need right now? And first of all, we keep saying this, but it starts with your relationship with yourself and loving yourself. And there's a lot of talk about self-care lately, and self-care is part of self-love. But imagine that you have a partner that cares for you and does things for you and gives you time. But when you make a mistake, they call you names and tell you you're an idiot and even say, I hate you. That's not a good, loving partner. And yet we do it to ourselves. It's like, oh, I took myself to get a manicure and I had a bubble bath and I'm doing my self-care, but I screwed up on this assignment and I immediately started saying, I'm so stupid. I always mess up at so self-love is the first thing. And I know that a lot of people don't really fully understand what that even means. So they think they have the love that they need and deserve, but they don't. So that's where it starts. And then with a partner, I was just having a conversation with a client today about conscious communication and how we're all programmed with our conditioning, that what we learned from our parents and all the dysfunctional relationships we've seen and all the dysfunctional relationships on TV and movie, because drama sells. There's not a whole lot of really happy, positive relationship models out there in the media. Not many, because they're boring.
It's exhausting when it's dramatic and there's drama. And one of our Facebook users just posted, and I want to refer to this, Whitney, when you love yourself first, others will love you more. We haven't said that yet. And thank you, whoever posted that. When you love yourself first, others will love you more. That is so important. We keep talking about it. I love it that I have a boring relationship. My husband and I talk about it all the time. When we see drama in our kids' marriages or in our friends' lives, we just look at each other and say, thank you so much for having this boring relationship with me that is full of love and understanding and safety and comfort. And we don't have all the dramas that we had when we were younger. I think that says something about a strong relationship that can endure to the end. We've talked about what retirement looks like, what it looks like when one of us have outlived the other. What do we do in the case with our kids? And so we're talking long-term here, eternity, right? What happens? How do we join each other later, in the afterlife? I think it's so important to turn the mirror on ourselves. Whitney, do you have an example of a client that you've worked with that really they had trouble finding someone because they just weren't happy with themselves and that energy was bleeding over into dates?
Oh, yes, many times. I mean, there's one that comes to mind, Jessie. She had a series of relationships that were codependent. They were addicts. It was on again, off again. There was drama. And working with me, she finally ended a relationship that had been back and forth. You know, when she first came to me, it was, I want my man back. I want my man back. You know, I hear that all the time. I want my ex back. I want my ex back. And I know deep down that they're probably an ex for a reason. Sometimes you can get an ex back and work it out, and it's great. But a lot of times there's a reason that they're the ex. And so working with her, she finally got to the bottom of her low self-esteem and where it came from, and always being compared to her sisters. And she really did the internal work to look at those parts of herself and integrate and grow and begin to practice self-love. And she ended up attracting somebody who was totally different than anything she'd ever had before. And he was like honest and open and communicated and doted on her. And she was so happy. So yeah, it's amazing, you know, just doing the work on yourself and just getting to a place where you're open and ready. And that's hard to explain because most people don't know what they don't know. I call them blind spots.
That's
a lot
right.
of people have blind spots and don't realize that they're holding themselves back. So instead, they just point a finger and blame every other thing externally. They say online dating is at fault. It's my age. There's no good guys left at this age. It's where I live. And I've heard all the excuses.
All the excuses.
I've been able to work with women that live in Montana, and there's not a lot of population where they live, and they still were able to find a guy that was a great fit.
You know, it's interesting because I always say to my husband, and it's, again, no disrespect, and I've said this to him, you were nothing I was looking for and everything I needed.
Oh my God.
And he was like, well, thank you so much for that. That's great to know. And I'm like, no, you don't understand. We don't always know what we need. And what we are looking for seems to be that superficial boxes that you check. But when you really sit back and look at what your heart and your soul needs versus what you think your brain, your mind is telling you you need, you wind up with that person that becomes your forever. Right. Yeah. And what would be some advice that you would give, Whitney, with clients that you've worked with, to those listeners today? What are some steps they can take, or do you have a download, what is it? Tell me right now, what should they do?
I do have a download on my website, whitneylovecoach.com. It's 3 shifts to manifest your ideal relationship. It's meant for women. I coach women, and women either single or in a relationship or going through a breakup or divorce. But these 3 shifts, one of them is recognizing your feminine power. So being both feminine and powerful. Many women are either, they're somewhat feminine, but they're also very weak and don't have boundaries and people pleasing, and that doesn't work. And it also doesn't work to be strong, independent, and, you know, I could do anything a man can do, and I'm just like a man. Like, we have to find this balance where we're feminine and powerful. We have to address our blind spots.
By the way, I just want to say, being feminine is powerful.
Yes.
Ladies, I mean, you know, our bodies were created where we have the opportunity, most of us, to create life, right? To raise and create a human. And we are very, very powerful. And when I shifted out of corporate into that, you know, masculine to my femininity, I really feel more at ease, more like myself, more authentic, more powerful in who I am, because I'm not struggling to hide that behind some masculine mask. So I'm glad you brought that up. And I've put your website here, 3 shifts to manifest your ideal relationship. And this will give them, what will this give them, Whitney?
It'll give them an outline, a framework. And if that's something that you can go and figure out and implement on your own, then awesome. I'm so glad that it can help a lot of people. But if you're like, oh my God, I see this and I don't know where to start, then I invite you to book a free call with me, and we'll talk about it and we'll come up with a strategy. Because a lot of times this is the kind of internal work that's just, we need an outside perspective and need someone like a therapist or a coach to work with us. So that's the kind of work that I do with people.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for being here today, Whitney. This was really great. I mean, I have your website up here, you guys. It's super easy, whitneylovecoach.com. She's even got her phone number here. You can text or call her. I highly recommend you go download the 3 shifts to manifest your ideal relationship. Having love, the right kind of love in your life, and not making excuses like, my relationship's okay. I have worked with so many women that their businesses suffer because of the relationships they're in. Their husbands don't stand behind them in their businesses. They put them down. They tell them that you're never going to make anything of yourself. Whatever it is, that is not a companion. That is not someone who's supporting you. And so there's so many things you can do to build that relationship up. That relationship is important to you, for you each to have an understanding in that. But I am a firm believer that sometimes we're mismatched. And if both of us aren't working toward the same goal in the relationship, it takes 100%, not 50-50, 100% of me to put in 100% of my effort, 100% of his effort. So whatever relationship you're in, you need to put in 100%. And Whitney is here to teach you, to guide you, to assist you in realizing, are you in the right relationship? Do you love yourself? Do you need to move on, or are you looking for love? These are the areas that she can assist you in. And Whitney, it's just been a pleasure having you here today and joining us. And I want to thank you for coming and giving us all this advice, and for all of those viewers and listeners out there for joining us today. All of her information will be in the chat. Please make sure you share this video. If you know someone that is looking for love or needs to be hooked up with a love matchmaker, Whitney Kobrin is the one that they should be choosing, because she has done it, has proved it for herself, and has done it for her clients. So thank you again for joining us on our Member Monday Spotlight. We hope you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Take care, and bye-bye for now.